Greetings, scale modelers, and welcome to another quick and dirty build and review. Thanks to the generosity of a friend, thank you friend, I recently received a care package from Hobby Lobby with several scale models inside. In today's episode, we're going to focus on one of them, Revell's 48 scale F4U-4 Corsair. This is a later version, delivered in 1945. It did see action in World War II and Korea both. And the box art shows a version with 420mm cannons. Pretty badass. So let's get into this thing, start having some fun, and see what this Corsair is all about. All right, Corsair builders, I'm giving you a message from the future. This step is coming up in the assembly process, but I'm telling you this now so you can save yourself a little bit of effort. Do not paint the top part of the wheel strut, okay, because that will fit in to this piece that I'm touching right here, and if you don't have any paint inside both of those pieces, they'll go together a lot better. I was able to get mine in, and I had to push a little bit, but I've broken so many model parts lately that I was really gentle with it, so I got away with it. But do not paint the bearing surfaces of this part of the landing gear assembly so that it goes together a lot easier for you, okay? That's just a note from the future that I learned, so I put it at this point in the video for your benefit. We got 4 sprues with 59 parts, and the instructions from this time period in the mid-2000s, just nice, simple, straight ahead, good guide for the colors in here that are simpler than most, and we got a detailed 59 part list. And in my kit, everything was attached to the sprues, which is a nice surprise. Here are the colors that I have put together according to the instruction sheet. The tan probably is a mistake compared to the instructions, but I think it asked for a gray. But here is how I got my canary vomit yellow that does go in these nether regions of the Corsair airplane. I've checked videos on a couple other builds, and that's that sick-ass color that they like to use for it. So that's what I'm doing as well. After doing a very responsible and historically accurate survey of what a Corsair cockpit looks like, this gives me what I need to get started with the job. For the cockpit, thanks to Resurrection Modeler on YouTube, I'm doing some dry brush silver accenting, which just gives it that little bit of minor pop that a model show judge will be looking for when they inspect my Corsair during the gold medal round of the model show. They're gonna say, that is looking fucking sharp, baby. Style points to Revell / monogram for numbering the landing gear doors, because the instructions do specify that each one needs to be in its respective place or it won't work right. And fit and finish are gonna matter a lot, because I'm doing this one wheels down, and the wheels are designed to rotate like they're gonna retract, and the wings are going to fold. So this one needs to fit right, and I need to build it right, more importantly. I wanted to record a closer shot of the pilot because I thought I got this one pretty well. And I was watching clips from the movie Devotion, which this 4 model Corsair is more appropriate with. This wasn't around with the Marines in the Pacific in World War II. This was later on. And I accidentally stumbled across this, and this is monogram 1963. So I think this originated a couple miles down the road from me in Morton Grove, Illinois. And so this is from that same vintage period that I built my P-38, which was complicated as fuck with all those hinges. And speaking of hinges from that same vintage, the tail wheel doors are going to be hinged along with the folding wings. So, these are the only models that I've built so far that have this much play value in them, where you can, you know, make everything waggle and wiggle. So Monogram 1963 in this Revell kit. Now I glued everything on this half of the project. Let's see how it comes together. Okay, I think that worked. So I'm going to clamp these together, and you're going to see how right or wrong I was very soon. The horizontal stabilizer is supposed to slide through the fuselage into place. And there's a couple of pins on the horizontal stab that let you know, as an index point where it's in there correctly. So it's too tight. So my first course of action, since I don't have a sanding stick, I'm going to start whittling away on the low side that will be less visible and see if I can get this thing fitted in there. It turns out I need to fix the length of the opening in the Corsair lengthwise, so it's Dremel time. Now when you're doing your Dremel, make sure that you don't cut off something that you didn't mean to cut off like I did. That's a mistake. Landing gear doors can be a big hassle. And this Revell Monogram way of doing the Corsair landing doors is fun and different. And what they're doing is they've got tabs in all the right places, and then the landing gear doors pop in, so that you're not doing just one plain butt joint against another and then having to balance something to get the glue to dry into place. I mean, these don't even need to be glued under this design. Now, if it was an airy plastic model with the brittle plastic, this couldn't even happen because all those tabs would instantly break off and the idea would fail. But with the Revell Monogram, this is going in there really nice. The only reason this wing can fold is this hinge mechanism. And the most important part of it is not really where the parts come together, but that you get a really strong glue joint on this inside wing section. And I put enough Tamiya cement on here to coat the top of it so that it was just immersed in it. And I waited 24 hours. Then that should be strong enough for all the finagling that you got to do to get the model built. And this one's holding strong after the section just broke off from the lower wing section while I was trying to dry fit the model. But this mechanism does work really well, and the pieces do fit together in a logical, doable manner. It took me a lot of fumbling, but you'll probably have an easier time of it than I did. Now for the wing, I have the insides of this glued, the inside edges. I got them glued, and I got the pins so that they're matched up. And I'm going to see if I can get this thing clamped on to... There you can see what the hinge is, that hinge rod that I'm indicating with my pinky tip. And so I want to try this in one shot to see if I can just gently clamp this down. With the two wing halves are pre-glued, and then if it clamps on, that'll go a lot easier than it did on the first try. So I want to save you some time if this can benefit. My folding wings came out with so-so results. This one, the fit is kind of there, and this one, well, that one's folding too. So I don't want to push this too hard, but this'll do like an aircraft carrier taxi, which I think this is what I'll be doing with VMF 214 flying off USS Sicily in the Korean War. So the dry fit on this is complicated enough that if you glued the inside wing and the body parts, they would be rubbing on each other about 40 times before you ever got the upper edges of this to fit the jig that they cut into the side of the body. You got to go back and forth and wiggle and pray and tap dance and do all kinds of shit to get this thing fit together. So what you need to do is you need to get it fit dry and then glue on the inside of the air intakes so that you don't have so much mess, because you had to do all this finagling. So let me save you a little bit of trouble that way. Fit it first, glue it second. I'm going to weld the landing gear into one spot because they flop around too much under the monogram play value situation. So I have the parts glued together now, and I just got them hanging straight down to hopefully get them. They don't have to be perfectly in sync with one another, but I want them to be pretty close. And right now I just need to not touch it. This is something that you might not think is an advantage, but the piece of cardboard crossbar that Revell monogram packaged this for the Hobby Lobby Corsair, it ends up being a great drying stand. And when I was building the inside wing section with the landing gear, it was able to balance on the edge of this while it was drying. So it was just kind of nice that was a provided part of the package that was just incidental packaging. But this is a kit review, so that's why I'm saying these things, so that you'll know why you should build it yourself. The suspenseful and exciting conclusion of Canopy Corner. You know, if I fuck this up, I really don't know how to clean the paint off and start over. It is acrylic though, so it might be a little easier. And I was watching action clips from the movie Devotion, which is the exact same F4U-4 version with the missiles and bombs and tanks all over it, with the four-bladed prop and the different canopy. And so this Revell monogram kit, I may even order aftermarket decals to get the Devotion plane, because I found someone that sells that, and I like doing that. I built a Huey and I did it like Apocalypse Now with the death from above on the nose. It was fucking badass. But oh my gosh, now I got a little blurb of a leak on the front windshield, so I may need to clean that off. But the back part, that is looking darn good. And that Tamiya royal blue, that is really sharp. And there's a rattle can Krylon color that the Navy Blue Angels use for touch-ups on their Hornet jets. And my hardware store sells that same Krylon blue, and that's a good rattle can option for this Corsair, I think. But I airbrushed Tamiya royal blue to get what I'm getting here. And thus concludes another exciting Canopy Corner. Yeah. The Revell instructions call for fiery red for the tail tip of the plane, the arse. And you may have seen my Starsky and Hutch build. And that's where I got this number 31 Revell fiery red. You better catch that video if you haven't seen it yet, the Starsky and Hutch. It's a good one. Now that I'm almost finished and a very fragile wing assembly is done, I'm going to stand this thing up on its ass end in a precarious manner so that the propeller assembly can dry onto the fuselage. Besides, what could go wrong? I do have the extra fuel tanks assembled as an option, but these bombs are pretty good looking bombs. I just got some silver on the, in the fuses on the front, and my paint job. I'm kind of proud of it. This is a fun one. Look at these. Look at this pair of bombs. The ordnance popped into their pre-drilled holes darn near effortlessly. So I'm just leaving these alone, letting them dry. But yeah, doing the whole 11 ordnance pieces was really pretty much a pop-in fit. Real straightforward, real easy. I'll just say it, easy. So kudos to Revell Monogram. The second part of the canopy is so misshapen that it pops in over here and looks okay, but on the other side there's a massive gap along this line right here, and I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to get this thing to look credible with it like slid back. So I got to look at some history photos and see if anything, if there's any way that can work. Because if this were going to be a wheels up model, this canopy is so bad, it's unusable. I mean, the whole starboard side of the plane, you don't even want to take a picture of it because the gap is so bad with the canopy. So this is one thing that maybe a lot of people have encountered, but this is my review of the Hobby Lobby Corsair. And that's the only serious problem I've had so far. Everything else has been coming together pretty well. And it took like 5 or 6 coats to get an average dark navy job done on this, but I am a airbrush rookie and it will show. I still got to do the tail hook, and I do intend to rig this because I have 2 good antennae to rig to, and a nice spur up on top of the rudder on this thing. But I was off to a shaky start, but this build is coming out looking pretty darn good. And the first couple of coats of blue paint were really messy, and I glitched big time over on that wing. And the third and fourth and fifth coats did the trick, and now it's a nice rich blue. I used very diluted coats of Tamiya royal blue, or well, yeah, I think it was royal blue. But yeah, 5 coats with the airbrush, looking pretty good. The Revell Corsair is a fairly challenging build. I had to improvise to get the tail wheel right, and I really didn't get the wings right either. I mean, they don't look proper in the flying position. They do fold, so that part of it worked out okay. I mean, it's a darn good looking model, but I just like dark blue. So, you know, I'd give this thing about an 8 out of 10, just because, I mean, overall it came out looking pretty good, but the stuff that did go wrong was pretty major. So this has been another quick and dirty build and review, and thanks for watching.